D Brown here, July 11th, 10 a.m., 2026. Breaking the family curse. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes I believe that in my family, we have this thing where we were taught to work hard, get a job, the whole benefits and get a pension. But we were never taught to, think and dream big. The whole you could do whatever you want to do in life. We were not taught that, and not, this is no disrespect to my mother and father, because they didn't know better. They just wanted to do, for me to do better than them, which is fine. That's what we all want as parents. But what I see is, what happens with essentially what's happened in my life when it comes to my family is sometimes I don't feel like we've dreamed big enough, and I think that's put limits on a lot of my family members where, and it makes me think, like, I think of like successful families in the past. It's like it's almost like they are destined to, do great things. They don't look at limitations, and I wish more of my family thought like that. And it's up to me, right, to really, uh, show them the way. Obviously, I did it with Major League Baseball, but I believe that I would hope that they will see that it's bigger than just sports. It's dreaming big, and what's happening is, I thought about this because it's like I know what I instill in my daughter. Like I've told her early, and sometimes I have to keep reminding her. And sometimes, a lot of times it's not what she, essentially hears, is what she sees. And sometimes because I haven't reached all my goals, and she knows, oh, dad played in the league, and it's those things are important. But you know what I'm saying? What's up, family? One of the one of the things that I'm constantly and always have instilled in her is to be like, yo, dream is big as hell. Like, you want to make and do great things, sports and outside of sports, you could do whatever you want to do in this life. I know that people say that and, whatever, but I truly believe, I'm a product of my own work. Like, if people saw my humble beginnings and where I came from to where, I ended up going, they were like, I remember I had this coach, and I hate to bring race, but he brought up race to me. And he was an old high school coach in the Memphis, Tennessee area, a long time, a private school, been there forever. And he used to give me access to their facilities when I was training kids. Beautiful facility, top notch. Shout out, I can't remember my coach, the coach's name, man. But the AD was my man. I met him at the gym. Speaking of the gym, that's a great networking place. Anyway, but we sat down, we talked, man, and we just talked ball for a while. And here's this, old school coach from somewhere, Tennessee, Mississippi, somewhere down that south over there. And, for him to, you know, be like, yo, D, he called me an anomaly, right? He said, you're a young, black kid from New York and made it to the major leagues, man. You're an anomaly. And I was like, okay, I mean, I didn't look at it like that. I know, what I did was, one of a kind. Like, I know, like, a lot of people, you know, but he put it just bluntly like that, racing everything. And I was just like, damn, I just met him for the first time. But he was right. And so when that happens, we ain't gonna start. Obviously, I had to start way before to think that way. Like I had this, that dream and of playing in the major leagues and all of that. That started like way as a 10 years old, 15 years old. And so, I've always had these dreams of dreaming big, and my family have seen it. I'm the youngest out of my siblings, but I've always had these like, yo, you can't be limited, you can't be thinking small, especially in this world, man. And it's like, and I guess I haven't created an environment enough for my family enough to think even bigger. Sometimes there are some of my family members that think big, but I just think they haven't experienced nothing and they don't know how to stretch themselves. Where it's like, you know, they're happy with a good job, working hard, and I'm I'm extremely happy that they're working, especially for my nieces and nephews, especially my nephews. It could have got a lot worse for them, and not to say they had it so bad, but statistically, how they grew up, it could have went left. But as I sit here and I think about, man, like I hear them talk sometimes, and I just think because they haven't seen it and experienced it that they don't believe that they can do it. And you have to believe it well before you see it. So as I sit here, like I'm trying to really break the curse of my family of like I guess I have to show them outside of ball because they feel like ball is so God is, and it was true. God has blessed me with the talent, and I was able to capitalize it. Not all the way I wanted to, but but I think how I'm going about leaving this legacy is not just for my daughter, but also my whole family. Like change the whole family lineage with the mindset. I think that we get in trouble for dreaming big in our family. Like especially if they don't see it right away and they don't feel like it's a pipe dream because they can only see you a certain way, right? It's not just me, but each other, family wise. I'm a little different. I'm the type that like if you say you want to do something and you think it big, I'd be like go bigger. But I'm like you're gonna have the work behind it. There's a lot of comfort zone that goes along with this, and you have to again, it's you have to like think so beyond delusion sometimes to get to the type of to get to where you're trying to go on a bigger scale. You can't want to be rich. You can't want to be leave all type of wealth for your family and all of that thinking small or just happy you know being where you are in a certain place. I just felt the need to share that because my family, man, we're fine. We're doing okay, but I just sometimes I just want us to like think bigger. I want us to like it's okay like to have humble beginnings and we work hard and pay not our bills and we're fine with that, but like wow, is that about that's what life is? You work 30, 40 years or to I see my mother like you know like hustle hard and like for 30 years jail and coming home and talking about having and I'm just being straight up with her. My mother was a corrections officer and she would tell me you had piss and shit thrown at her in the jails and you know sometimes inmates and stuff trying to assault her, you know what I'm saying, like all that type for 30 years and then only to retire after putting 30 years and then within you know truly she enjoyed about 5 or 6 years into her retirement before health started cancers and blood clots and all this type of stuff. So then the next 15 plus years of her life it was just health issues. You know what I'm saying? I gave her a little relief where she could kind of travel and see. But I remember my mother like dealing with cancer, coming to see me with cancer in her body and can't walk, can't whatever, crying to me, with tears in her eyes, telling me like, "Yo, I just wanted to see my son." And I was like, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm mom, you're not healthy. You got to get healthy first. But she was in her mind, she was thinking she may pass, and she don't want to pass, thinking that she didn't get to see me one last time and all of that. That was again, she lived 15 plus years after she had cancer. But at that time, you just never know. Her mother died from breast cancer. My grandmother died from breast cancer. So in her mind, she thinking like she had breast cancer. She was a breast cancer survivor. But at the time when you're in the middle of it, you don't know. But I'm like, man, like, and I'm not saying like, you could get rich overnight, it takes, but I'm just saying if you're gonna be working 30 years or something, like at least be making, an exorbitant amount of money where you can enjoy life, man, and her life, and I get it, it's small wins, but her life was I got to see my son play in the major leagues, you know, um, house in Florida with the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are small wins. I'm not saying from where we started that's big. But I just look at it like it's up to me to really like show my family like we can do it. And I've been teaching them and telling them, but sometimes you just got to show them, man. And ball wasn't enough for me. Obviously, we don't have to just put so much limitations on us, man. Personally and family wise, and I know there's a lot of people over there. Like I just don't understand. Like if you, and I understand, but I don't understand. Like if you, it's so much more than like I'm literally like I should turn this around. I can't, but I mean I could turn this around, but I'm like I mean look at this, man. All right, I'm gonna turn around over there, man. I mean just look in the background, man. You got the set, you got the boats in the back. I don't know if you can see the boats. The water, the houses on the water right over there. Like, come on, man. Come on. And I'm not here to say, to brag or to, or do anything. I'm just saying, like, this is what life is about to me. And I got so much more I want to do. I could be like complacent, be like, oh, I'm on the water, I'm chilling, and no, no, no. There's so much more life to live, man, and so much more to do. I want to have one of these big old, yachts over there on this water riding down over here. That's what I'm trying to shoot for, and not rent it. Yeah, if I choose, I don't know if I really want a yacht, but I want to, I could ride on one tomorrow. But I'm talking about, to have that mindset to do it. Maybe if I'm sitting on, whatever, and I could keep it up and do what I want, and yeah, maybe my mind would change, just to have another toy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't want to think smaller. That's me already putting limitations over there. F that. I want a yacht. I want a yacht. Put on this water over here, man. Come on, look at this, man. It's life, man. So much more to live. Family curses, man. Like, are you the one that's breaking your family curse, or have you been the one? Shout out to you if you are and you have done that. But those people, people out here, man, let's live, man. Let's get this. Sometimes you got to show more than just tell, man, and talk. I get it, but my family curse, we got to break this.